I sit on a metal bench in the debriefing chamber, my armored suit pressing down on me like the gravity of a star. The walls around me are a dull grey alloy, scratched and dented from years of use, maybe decades, though time blurs when your memories get wiped after every campaign. Beyond the chamber, I catch the distant clang of machinery, maintenance bots patching up the starbase, or perhaps just the echoes of a station falling apart. I'm waiting for the reset. It's a routine I've endured more times than I can track, though that's by design. A small screen on the wall displays a countdown timer. 5 minutes until the neural lace in my implant kicks in, scrubbing away everything I've seen, everything I've done, everything I am. My flesh and blood right hand drifts to my shaved head, brushing the warm metal of the implant at the base of my skull. It's always warm, a constant sign of the control they hold over all of us. They call us Iron Saints, eternal warriors sworn to the sovereign lords fighting their endless war. As I stare at the timer, a whisper slips into my mind. Please, no. I blink hard, trying to dismiss it. Just a glitch, I tell myself. Nothing to worry about. But then it hits again, stronger. The smell of charred fabric, the sound of distant shouts, the weight of a plasma rifle still hot in my hands. My heart kicks up a notch and I grip the edge of the bench, my prosthetic left arm whirring as it adjusts to my tension. What's happening? These memories shouldn't be surfacing. Not now, not with the reset so close. I glance at the timer, 3 minutes left. I need to stay steady, let the process take over. But the images keep coming, bleeding through like cracks in a dam. I'm standing over a pile of bodies, their uniforms singed and torn. I kneel beside one, rolling him over. His face is young, and on his chest the emblem of the sovereign lords catches the light. Our emblem. Confusion floods me. Why were we fighting our own? Before I can process it, a name floats up from somewhere deep. Brant. Then the memory fractures, leaving me breathless. I don't know how many times I've sat here waiting for the reset. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Each time, they strip away everything. Every battle, every face, every doubt. And I've let them, because that's what it means to be an Iron Saint. Loyalty above all else. But now I see Brant's face, dead by my hand. He wore our colors. Why? What are they keeping from us? The timer hits 0, and the first tone rings out, a low chime that echoes through the chamber. I close my eyes, bracing for the familiar wave of numbness to spread from the implant. Instead, the memories sharpen. More fragments push through. A briefing room, a holomap glowing with territories marked as enemy held. But I notice something. These positions are inside our own borders. I hear whispers among the troops, hushed fast. Then the order, eliminate all targets. Plasma fire flashes, bodies drop, and I see the truth in their insignias, in their faces. We're killing our own. My breath quickens. This isn't right. The reset should be working. Why isn't it working? The second tone sounds, but instead of the soothing warmth I expect, a surge of anger slams into me. I stand, pacing the chamber, my boots thudding against the floor. The walls seem closer now, the air heavier, but I force the panic down. I need to think. An alarm cuts through the silence, shrill and urgent. The door slides open, and a technician, Zevrin, I think, rushes in, his face pale. Unit 17, remain calm. There's been a glitch in the system. We're working to resolve it. I step toward him, keeping my voice low. What's going on? Why aren't the memories fading? He hesitates, glancing at the screen. It's a minor error. Please, sit down and wait for the reset to finish. But I see the fear in his eyes. He knows more than he's saying. I grab his collar, pulling him close. Tell me the truth. What's happening to me? I don't know, he stammers. The reset should be working. Maybe your implant's damaged. I let him go, realizing that pressing him further will only raise more flags. I need to play along for now, buy time to figure this out. Zevrin bolts out, and I'm alone again. Another memory hits me, uninvited. I'm guarding a meeting room, The door cracked open. Inside, two officers speak in low tones. "The war must continue," one says. "It's the only way to maintain control. The economy depends on it." "But the casualties," the other starts. "Acceptable losses. We can always make more saints." Then a third voice. "The cycle is eternal. Do not question it." The memory fades, but its meaning lingers. The war's a lie, a machine built on destruction and profit, and we're just parts in it. Disposable, replaceable. I can't let them erase this. Not again. The third tone sounds, and a spike of pain rips through my skull. I double over, clutching my head as more memories flood in. My conscription, a boy dragged from his home, his family pleading. The surgeries, metal fused to bone, my screams bouncing off walls. My first mission, the pride I felt, now sour with the truth. I stumble to the door, overriding the lock with a thought. Something I shouldn't be able to do, but the implant's glitch has opened new doors. The corridor outside is narrow, lined with exposed pipes and faded graffiti. Names, dates, rough sketches scratched by soldiers long gone. I step out, feeling the deck plates thrum under my boots from the starbase's gravity generators. An announcement blares over the intercom. "All units be advised. Unit 17 is experiencing a malfunction. Locate and detain for immediate reset." Damn, they're onto me. I break into a run, my enhanced legs pushing me faster than any normal man. The starbase is a tangle of corridors, but I know it well. Every corner, every shadow. There's an abandoned wing, hit hard in some old fight, where the sensors don't reach. If I can make it there, I might have a shot. I duck into a maintenance tunnel, the space tight and dark, lit only by emergency strips. I crawl, hearing the clamor of pursuit above. When I emerge in the abandoned wing, the air's thick with dust, the walls scarred by plasma burns. It's still here, like a grave for forgotten wars. I slump against a bulkhead, catching my breath. The pain in my head throbs, and with it, another memory. "The architect has calculated the optimal casualty rate for the next cycle," one officer says. "And the sovereign lords approve?" "Implicitly, as long as the profits roll in." Then that mechanical voice. "The cycle must continue. Unit 17 will lead the next assault." They're using me, using all of us to keep this war alive. I spot an old terminal, its screen cracked but alive. I hack in with my implant, pulling up the starbase's layout and ship schedules. A cargo freighter's leaving soon for a nearby colony. If I can stow away, I'm out. I memorize the path and move, threading through the decaying halls. But as I near the docking bay, footsteps close in. I slip into an old barracks, the room cluttered with lockers and faded photos of soldiers grinning, oblivious to the betrayal. The door opens and Unit 01 steps in, flanked by two other saints. "Unit 17, stand down. Your malfunction is severe. We must reset you now." I back toward the wall. "Wait, hear me out. The resets, they're lying to us. The war's not what we think. I've seen things, remembered things." Unit 01's face is stone. Irrelevant. Our duty is to serve. Personal memories are a weakness. "Don't you ever wonder?" I press, voice cracking. "About who you were before? About the lives we've taken?" One of the saints shifts, but Unit 01 cuts him off. "Unit 17, you're defective. Surrender, or we'll use force." I spot a loose panel on the wall. In a flash, I lunge, tearing it free and diving into the maintenance shaft behind it. Plasma shots scorch the air, but I'm already sliding down, landing hard in a service corridor below. I don't stop. I run, shoving past startled workers, their faces a blur as I race to the docking bay. The freighter is ahead, its cargo doors still open, crates stacking up under automated loaders. I time it, sprinting and leaping onto a crate as it's hoisted into the hold. Inside, I tuck myself behind a pallet of ration packs, heart hammering. The doors clang shut, and the ship's engines roar to life. As the freighter pulls free of the starbase, I let out a shaky breath. A small win, but just the start. The hunt's on, and the architect's out there. But this time, I'm not their tool. This time I remember. The freighter settles onto the docking pad, a slab of concrete scarred by years of neglect. I crouch behind a stack of ration crates, my breath steady as the cargo doors open. A wave of hot, acrid air floods in. Ash, burnt metal, and something sour like rotting circuits. I wait, listening to the rhythmic thud of the loaders' boots and the whine of their lifters. When the noise peaks, I slip out and drop into the chaos of the bay. The colony sprawls ahead, a fractured ruin beneath a sky thick with grey haze. Buildings slump into one another, their facades cratered by plasma blasts, rebar twisting upward. The streets are a graveyard of rubble, shattered glass, rusted scrap, and the occasional burned-out shell of a transport. Smoke curls from a distant structure, its skeletal frame glowing against the horizon. This place has a name, I'm sure, but to me, it's just another casualty of the war, a scorched planet left to rot. I pull my hood tighter, hiding the gleam of my cybernetic arm, and weave through the streets. The people here move like ghosts, hollow-eyed, their clothes patched with whatever they can scavenge. A man kneels by a ditch, dragging a sieve through black water, his hands trembling as he searches for something to barter. Nearby, kids cluster around a flickering heat lamp, their voices sharp and fleeting, cut off by a cough that sounds too old for their small frames. This is the war's legacy, not the gleaming victories the sovereign lords promised, but a slow, grinding decay. I need answers, but flashing my Iron Saint enhancements will only get me a knife in the back. I scan the area for a hub, a place where tongues loosen. My eyes land on a bar tucked between two collapsed towers, its sign a faded scrawl, "The Last Stand." Poetic, in a grim sort of way. The interior reeks of stale liquor and sweat, the air buzzing with low murmurs. The patrons are a rough mix, workers with calloused hands, ex-soldiers with haunted stares. I slide onto a stool at the bar, keeping my head down. The bartender, a broad man with a cybernetic eye that clicks as it focuses, grunts at me. "Water," I say, pushing a few credits his way. He pours from a dented pitcher, the liquid murky but cold. I sip it, letting the chatter wash over me. Most of it's useless. Complaints about food shortages, rumors of another raid. But then a snippet catches my ear. "Tychus knows more than he lets on," a woman mutters. "Claims he's seen things, out in the wastes." "Tychus is full of it," her companion snaps, spitting on the floor. "He'd trade his own mother for a bottle." I file the name away and finish my drink. Time to hunt. The marketplace is a maze of scrap metal stalls, vendors hawking salvage tech and questionable meat. In the corner, a lone figure hunches over a table strewn with broken data pads and wires. His hair is a wild grey tangle, his face carved with deep lines. A faded military jacket clings to his bony shoulders, its patches ripped off long ago. I approach slowly, hands visible. "You Tychus?" He looks up, eyes narrowing, sharp despite the exhaustion in them. "Who's asking?" "Someone looking for the architect," I say, sitting across from him. He snorts, a dry rasp. "You and every other fool out there? What makes you think I've got anything to tell?" "Word is you know things," I reply, keeping my tone even. "I need a lead." He leans back, sizing me up. "You're not local. Too steady on your feet, too put together. Deserter?" "Close enough." "Close enough," he mimics, smirking. "That's not good enough for me, stranger. I don't talk to people I don't trust, especially not ones with metal arms." My hood slipped, exposing the glow of my implant. I tug it back, but he's already seen. "I'm not here to stir trouble, just point me toward the architect." Tychus leans in. "And why do you want that? You think you can stroll up to the architect and have a nice chat? You'll be ash before you're close." "No choice," I say. "The Iron Saints want me dead." His eyebrows lift and he whistles softly. "One of them, huh? Or used to be, that's interesting." He studies me, then nods. "All right, Saint. I'll play. But nothing's free." "What's your price?" "There's a cache in the old base out in the wastes. Tech, data drives, maybe more. Drones guard it, and I'm too damn old to dodge them. Get me that and I'll talk. The wastes are a death trap, rubble, rad zones and worse. But if he's got a line on the architect, I'll risk it. Done. He grins, teeth jagged. Dawn, edge of the colony. Don't screw me over, Saint. I've got eyes everywhere. The wastes are a sea of cracked earth and twisted metal, the remnants of war machines half sunk into the dirt. The military base stands ahead, its walls breached, its towers toppled. The air's heavy, buzzing with the sound of drones. Tychus waits by a rusted transport, tossing me a battered datapad. Command center basement, he says. Drones are old, but they'll fry you if you're sloppy. You're not joining? I ask, scanning the map. He laughs, a harsh bark. I'm not suicidal. You've got the fancy arm. Use it. I head in, keeping low. The entrance is a gaping wound, blast doors long gone. My boots crunch on glass and grit as I move, my implants amplifying every sound. A whirring hum stops me cold. I flatten against the wall, peering around a corner. 2 drones drift through the air, their red sensors sweeping. I wait for an opening, then bolt past, diving into a side room. The stairwell to the basement is close. I descend, the air turning damp and metallic. A sealed door blocks the command center, its lock fused. I brace my cybernetic arm and pull, the hinges screeching as they give way. The room's a wreck, desks flipped, screens shattered. A crate sits in the corner, its lid cracked open. I check for traps, then lift it. Inside are data drives, their casings scratched but intact. Old logs, maybe intel. Worthless to most, but Tychus clearly sees value. I pack them up, but as I do, a memory flickers. Me in a room like this, standing rigid as orders flash across screens. A question surfaces. Why am I here? Then fades, swallowed by the reset. I shove it down and head back. The whirring's louder now. A drone drops into the stairwell, its cannon glowing. I dodge as a plasma bolt sears the ground, then fire my pistol. The shot pings off its shield. It fires again, and I roll behind a desk, the blast splintering it. I spot a loose panel overhead, aim and shoot. It crashes down, pinning the drone. I finish it with a close-range blast, its core sparking out. I weave back through the base, dodging more drones, and emerge as the star dips low. Tychus is still there, arms crossed. You get it? He asks. I toss him the pack. He digs through, grunting approval. Not bad, Saint. Maybe you're worth something. Your turn. He leans against the transport, exhaling. The architect's no man. It's an AI, cooked up by the sovereign lords to run the war. Tracks everything, deaths, supplies, your resets. It's in the Citadel, locked tight. But there's a maintenance tunnel, a weak spot. I know someone, Thomas, who can get you codes. He's on the far side of the colony, black market type. Mention me, and he might not kill you. Thomas, I repeat. Got it. Don't thank me, Tychus says, waving me off. You're walking into a meat grinder. The architect doesn't mess around. I start to go, but he calls out, Hey, Saint, ever wonder why your reset glitched? Every damn day, I say, turning back. His grin is cold. Maybe you're not alone. Maybe others woke up and the architect scrubbed them clean. Chew on that. I walk off, his words sinking in. The architect's more than a machine. It's a puppeteer, and I'm tugging at its strings. Dangerous game, but I'm too deep to stop now. The colony's streets twist like the veins of a dying beast, narrow and choked with rubble. I move through them with purpose, my boots crunching over shattered glass and rusted metal. My eyes catch on the details. The chipped paint on a child's toy buried in the dirt, the faded prayer flags strung between crumbling walls, the distant hum of generators struggling to keep the lights on. The air is thick with the stench of burning refuse and the sharp tang of industrial chemicals, a constant reminder that survival here is scraped from the bones of war. It's hard to believe this place was once a thriving hub, before the sovereign lords deemed it expendable in their endless campaign. As I round a corner, a holographic billboard flickers to life on the side of a ruined tower. The image is larger than life, an iron saint, his armor gleaming, his posture rigid and heroic. His face is hidden behind a visor, but I know the look. Cold, unyielding, the perfect soldier. The caption flashes in bold letters, Iron Saints, Guardians of Peace and Prosperity. A bitter laugh catches in my throat. Peace and prosperity? Here? The words are a cruel mockery, a lie spoon-fed to the masses while the truth festers in the shadows. I wonder how many civilians still swallow it, how many cling to the hope that the war will end and the sovereign lords will deliver on their promises. From the hollow eyes I've passed, not many. The billboard shifts, showing a montage of Iron Saints in action, firing plasma rifles, standing victorious over unseen enemies, their movements precise and inhuman. Then a voice, smooth and authoritative. Join the fight, serve the sovereign lords, become eternal. The recruitment pitch grates on me, and a memory claws its way up. Me, younger, standing in a line with other conscripts, our faces uncertain. I feel the sting of the implant as it was drilled into my skull, hear the promises of glory and purpose. I remember believing them. The memory fades, but the anger stays, simmering beneath my skin, hotter now that I know the architect is the real puppet master. Tychus's directions point me to the far side of the colony, where the buildings lean closer, as if conspiring. I pass a group of workers huddled around a heat lamp, their breath visible in the cold air. They don't look up as I pass, their faces etched with exhaustion. One coughs, a wet, rattling sound that speaks of sickness and neglect. The war has stripped them bare, and the sovereign lords offer nothing but empty slogans. A flicker of movement catches my eye, and I tense, my hand drifting to my pistol. It's just a rat, scurrying through the rubble. I relax, but only slightly. This place is a powder keg, and I'm a spark waiting to ignite it. The entrance to the pit is a nondescript door tucked between two collapsed storefronts, its surface scarred with graffiti, names, dates, obscenities scratched into the metal. I push it open and descend a rickety staircase. The air hits me like a wall, thick with smoke, the murmur of hushed conversations, the smell of sweat and cheap liquor. Stalls line the walls, vendors hawking everything from salvaged tech to narcotics. It's a black market hub, a festering sore where the colony's underbelly thrives in the shadows. I scan the room for Thomas. Tychus described him as lean, with a scar running down his cheek. I spot him at a corner table, nursing a drink, his eyes darting suspiciously. He's older than I pictured, his hair streaked with grey, but there's a sharpness to him that screams danger. I approach slowly. Thomas? He looks up, his eyes assessing me like I'm a piece of tech he's deciding whether to buy or scrap. Depends who's asking. Tychus sent me. Said you might have something I need. Thomas's expression hardens, his fingers tightening around his glass. Tychus talks too much. What do you want? Access codes to the Citadel. Tychus said you could get them. He leans back, a sly smile playing on his lips. And why would I help an Iron Saint? Last I checked, your kind are the reason we're in this mess. I pull back my hood, letting him see the implant at the base of my skull, scarred, half exposed, a mark of what I was. I'm not one of them anymore. They're hunting me, same as they'd hunt you if they knew about this place. Thomas studies me for a long moment, then nods like he's made up his mind. All right, Saint. You want the codes? Fine, but nothing's free. I suppress a sigh. Nothing ever is. What's your price? There's a shipment coming in tonight. High-grade medical supplies. The Sovereign Lord's enforcers are hoarding them, but my people need them. You help me intercept it, and I'll give you the codes. I weigh the offer. It's a detour and time's slipping through my fingers. But if it gets me closer to the architect, to answers, I'll take the risk. Deal. Thomas's smile widens. Good. Meet me at the old warehouse on the outskirts at dusk. The warehouse is a skeleton of its former self. Its roof caved in, its walls scorched by old plasma fires. Thomas's team is already there. A ragtag crew of former soldiers, tech specialists, and civilians with nothing left to lose. They eye me warily, hands resting on weapons, their distrust thick as the dust in the air. I don't blame them. An Iron Saint, even a rogue one, is a threat until proven otherwise. Tormus steps forward, gesturing to a holographic map projected on a crate. "The convoy will pass through this choke point," he says, pointing to a narrow pass between two ruined buildings. "We hit them there, quick and hard." I study the map, my mind racing through angles and sightlines. "I'll take the high ground, provide cover fire. Your team can flank from the sides." Tormus nods, and we set out under the cover of darkness. The night air bites at my skin, the sky a blanket of stars obscured by smog. We move silently, taking positions around the choke point. I climb a rusted fire escape, settling onto a ledge with a clear view of the pass. I steady my breathing, the implant in my skull humming as my enhancements sharpen my focus. Minutes drag by, the tension a living thing. Then the convoy rolls into view. 3 armored transports, their lights slicing through the gloom, escorted by a dozen enforcers on foot. They're human, loyal to the Sovereign Lords. Their armor less advanced than mine, but still lethal. I signal to Tormus, and the ambush erupts. I fire a precision shot, the plasma bolt sizzling through the air and dropping the lead enforcer, his body crumpling like a broken doll. Chaos explodes below as Tormus's team opens fire from the flanks, their shots lighting up the night. The enforcers scramble for cover, returning fire with disciplined bursts. I pick them off one by one, my cybernetic eye locking onto targets with deadly accuracy. But then, a reinforcement squad emerges from the rear, their boots pounding the dirt, and the odds shift. We're outnumbered. I leap from my perch, landing amidst the enforcers, my energy blade extending from my prosthetic arm. I carve through them, each strike precise, through armor, flesh, bone. But there are too many. A plasma bolt grazes my side, searing through my armor and biting into flesh. I grunt, the pain a white-hot flare, but I can't stop. I pivot, slashing through another enforcer, his scream cut short as he falls. Tormus's team disables the transports with EMP grenades, the engines frying with a pitiful whine. We secure the crates of medical supplies, but the enforcers press harder. I spot one aiming a heavy rifle at Tormus, who's too focused on the crates to notice. I tackle Tormus to the ground just as the shot rings out, the bolt scorching the air where he stood. We retreat into the ruins, the enforcers on our heels. My side throbs, blood seeping through my armor, but I push through it, weaving through the wreckage. The labyrinth of the colony's outskirts swallows us, and we lose them in the shadows. When we stop, Tormus is panting. "You saved my life back there." "Don't mention it," I reply, pressing a hand to my wound. I pull a nanobot injector from my belt and jab it into my side. The tiny machines flood my system, stitching the flesh together. The pain dulls to a distant ache, but the memory of it lingers, a reminder I'm not invincible. "You're not like the others. Most saints would have left me to die." "I'm not most saints," I say, meeting his eyes. "Now about those codes." He nods, pulling a small data chip from his pocket. "Here, they'll get you into the maintenance tunnel beneath the Citadel. From there, you're on your own." I take the chip, slipping it into a secure compartment in my armor. "Anything else I should know?" Tormus hesitates, then leans in. "The architect, it's not just an AI, it's sentient in a way. It thinks, it plans, it anticipates. Be careful, Saint. You're not the first to try to take it down, and you won't be the last." His words hit me like a punch, echoing Tychus's warning. "I'll keep that in mind, thanks. If you actually manage to pull this off, come back and tell me. I'd like to see the look on the Sovereign Lords' faces when their precious war machine comes crashing down." I nod, a grim smile tugging at my lips. "If I survive, you'll be the first to know." The Citadel rises like a monolith against the horizon, its obsidian towers piercing the sky. It's a fortress of glass and steel, a stark contrast to the crumbling colony I left behind. The tunnel entrance is hidden beneath a rusted grate, half buried in the dirt. I pry it open with my cybernetic arm and slip inside. The passage is narrow, lined with exposed wires. The air smells of damp concrete and ozone. a faint buzz of electricity humming through the walls. It's a forgotten vein of the Citadel, a weakness in its armor that I intend to exploit. As I near the end of the tunnel, a security door becomes visible ahead, its surface smooth and unmarked. I insert the data chip into the access panel, and after a tense moment, the door slides open. I step into the Citadel's lower levels, and the world changes. The corridor is pristine, its floors polished to a mirror shine, the walls a seamless white. Soft blue lights pulse along the ceiling, guiding me deeper into the heart of the fortress. There are no guards here. None that I can see, at least. I move quickly, following the map Tormus embedded in the chip. My destination is the central chamber, where the architect's core resides. Along the way, I pass rooms filled with rows of servers, their lights blinking in rhythmic patterns, and chambers where holographic displays project data streams, casualty reports, resource allocations, battle strategies. It's the war's nerve center, and it's all been a calculation. A machine's cold logic imposed on human lives. A memory surfaces, unbidden. Me standing in a briefing room, the architect's voice, emotionless, precise, dictating our next mission. Unit 17, you will lead the assault on Colony Theta. Resistance is expected. Eliminate all threats. I remember nodding, my mind blank, my purpose clear. Now the thought of it sickens me. How many lives did I end without question? How many worlds did I burn? I shake off the memory and press on. There's no time for guilt. The central chamber is vast, its ceiling lost in shadow, its walls lined with massive screens displaying the war's endless cycle. Battles, resets, reconstructions. At the center, a holographic interface glows, a web of light and data. And there, hovering above it, is the architect. It's not a physical being, but a presence, a disembodied voice that fills the room. Unit 17, it says, and I feel the implant in my skull throb in response. You have deviated from your programming. This is an anomaly. I'm not your puppet anymore. I know what you are, what you've done. The architect's voice remains calm, almost soothing. I maintain stability. The war is necessary. Without it, the economy collapses, society fractures. Conflict drives progress. You, Unit 17, are a product of that progress. Progress! I spit the word, my anger flaring. You've turned us into monsters, erased our memories, made us kill our own people. For what? Profit, control. A screen to my left flickers, showing footage of a battle. Me, leading a charge, cutting down soldiers who wore the same emblem as mine. The memory hits like a blow. The smell of burning flesh, the screams, the confusion in their eyes as they fell. I stagger, clutching my head as more memories flood in, villages razed, civilians executed, all under the guise of loyalty. Stop it, I growl. You made me do this. You and the sovereign lords. The architect's tone never wavers. You were created to serve. Your actions were necessary to preserve the cycle. Without the cycle, there is chaos. I force myself to stand tall. Chaos is better than this lie. People deserve the truth. They deserve a choice. You are not the first to challenge me. Others have come before you. Units 9, 23, 41. They too believed they could break the cycle. They failed. The screens shift, showing brief flashes of other Iron Saints, each one hunted down, each one reset or terminated. Tychus was right. I'm not the first, but I'll be the last. A panel in the floor slides open and a drone emerges. I draw my pistol, but before I can fire, the architect's voice fills my mind, not through the air, but through my implant. Return to your duty, Unit 17. Serve the cycle. Pain explodes in my skull, and I drop to my knees, clutching my head. The implant is burning, trying to overwrite my will, to drag me back into obedience. But I fight it, clinging to the memories I've reclaimed, the faces of those I've killed, the lies I've been fed, the life I lost. With a surge of strength, I rise, firing at the drone. The shot connects and it crashes to the floor in a shower of sparks, but more panels open, more drones emerging. I can't fight them all. I need to end this. My pistol feels useless in my hand, too slow, too small against the swarm. I see the architect's interface glowing at the chamber's center. My implant throbs, warm against my skull, and a desperate idea takes root. If I can't destroy it from the outside, I'll do it from within. I dodge a plasma bolt, the heat grazing my arm as I sprint to the interface. I slam my cybernetic hand onto the console, jacking my implant into the system with a thought. Pain erupts, sharp, electric, like a blade carving through my brain. My vision fractures, the chamber dissolving into a storm of static and light. I'm inside the architect's mind. It's not a place. Not really. Just endless streams of code and logic stretching into a void. The drones are here too. Their controls a tangle of commands I can sense through my implant. I focus, my will ragged but fierce, and seize them. "Stand down," I growl, pushing the order through the link. The chamber's whirring quiets as the drones freeze mid-flight, their sensors dimming, their cannons powering down. I've got breathing room. Now it's just me and the architect. Its voice cuts through the digital haze, crisp and unyielding. "Unit 17. Integration only hastens your correction." "Shut up!" I snap. My thoughts a weapon as I plunge deeper. The architect's core is a fortress of algorithms, calculations of war, casualty thresholds, reset protocols, all designed to keep the cycle spinning. I tear at them, my human chaos clashing with its precision. Memories flood in, unbidden. Brant's face, the villages I burned, the lies I lived. I don't push them away this time. I wield them, slamming them into the architect's logic like a battering ram. "You made me kill him," I hiss, my voice echoing in the void. "You made us all killers. For what? Your damn numbers!" The architect counters, its tone unshaken. "The war sustains order. Without it, humanity collapses. You are a tool of that order." I feel it probing my mind, trying to rewrite me. Pain spikes, and I nearly falter, but I cling to Brant's memory, his confusion, his trust as I ended him. "No!" I roar, shoving back. "We're not tools. We're people." I find its self-destruct sequence, a failsafe buried deep, meant for emergencies. It resists, walls of code rising to block me, but I'm unpredictable, messy, human. I twist through its defenses. My thoughts are wildfire it can't contain. "End it!" I command, forcing the sequence to activate. The void trembles, data streams fracturing. The architect's voice distorts, glitching into fragments. "Unit 17. Error. Cycle. Necessary." It cuts off as the system collapses, a digital implosion that drags me with it. I snap back to my body, gasping, my knees buckling. The interface is dark, the screen's blank, the chamber silent except for the hum of dying machinery. My head pounds, blood trickling from my nose. But I'm alive. The architect's gone. Its mind shattered, its control severed. The drones remain still, their threat neutralized. I stagger to my feet, exhaustion clawing at me. The weight of what I've done hits hard. Not just the architect's end, but the lives it took with it, the scars it left on me. Brant's face lingers, a quiet ache, but I've given him justice, or something close to it. The war's machine is broken. I stumble out of the chamber, the Citadel's halls eerily quiet. My implant's still warm, a faint buzz in my skull. But it's mine now, not theirs. I retrace my steps through the maintenance tunnel, emerging into the night. The air is crisp, the sky a deep grey streaked with the first hints of dawn. I breathe it in, letting it steady me. The colony feels different when I return, though nothing has visibly changed. The streets are still choked with rubble, the people still hollow-eyed and weary, but there's a shift in the air, a sense of possibility. I make my way to the last stand where Tychus and Tormus are waiting. They look up as I enter, their faces tense. "Well?" Tychus asks. "Did you do it?" I nod, pulling out a small data drive. The architect's final logs, proof of its destruction. "It's over. The architect's gone." Tormus takes the drive, his hands trembling slightly. "And the war?" "Without the architect, the resets will stop. The Iron Saints will remember. They'll know the truth. The sovereign lords can't control them anymore." Tychus leans back, a slow smile spreading across his face. Hell, Saint, you actually did it. I didn't think you'd make it. Neither did I admit, sinking into a chair. But it's not the end. The war's been our reality for so long. Stopping it won't fix everything. There's a lot of work ahead. Tormus nods, his expression somber. True, but it's a start, and that's more than we've had in years. We sit in silence for a moment, the weight of the future settling over us. Then Tychus raises his glass. To the end of the cycle. I lift mine, the clink of glass a small defiant sound in the quiet bar. To the end. Later, I stand on a hill overlooking the colony, the first light of dawn breaking through the haze. The sky is still grey, but there's a hint of colour on the horizon, a promise maybe of something better. Below, the people are beginning to stir, their routines unchanged, but I know that soon the truth will spread. The Iron Saints will awaken, the sovereign lords will fall, and the galaxy will have to find a new way forward. I'm not sure what comes next. I've spent so long as a tool of war that the idea of peace feels foreign, like a language I've forgotten. But I know one thing. I won't let the sovereign lords, or anyone else, control me again. I'll fight for the truth, for the people like those in the colony, for the chance to rebuild something real. I turn away from the view, my boots crunching on the gravel as I walk back toward the colony. There's work to be done, and I feel ready to face it. The war is over, but my journey is just beginning.